My brothers and sisters, you are now watching The Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need. And I hope you enjoy the video. What's up, my brothers and sisters? Tomorrow is the ever so special day. The day that love is in the air. Couples around the world are pretending to love each other more than they actually do, and then the next day, right after that, the boyfriend going to end up on Channel 7 News. Chris Brown and their wives are going. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, the most overrated, irrelevant holiday in the history of mankind, because it's the day that you're supposed to show your love to your partner. Sucker, ain't you supposed to be doing that every day? Am I already preaching? The video just started. Anyway, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, the most irrelevant holiday in the history of mankind. And it's not just because that a brother is single. No, my sisters, okay? Tomorrow is especially irrelevant this year, because not only do you have that Titanfall beta dropping tomorrow, if a brother is not mistaken, sucker, hold up. But tomorrow is especially irrelevant because unless a brother is going crazy, That Last of Us single player DLC comes out tomorrow. I ain't got no time for relationships. You want to know what a brother's my day tomorrow is going to consist of? You want to know my Valentine's Day date? It's going to be me going out, buying chocolates for myself, going straight back home and downloading that single player DLC and playing that sucker. Yes! What my day is going to consist of. My date tomorrow is that Last of Us single player DLC, okay? And nobody got time for relationship. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's get to the video at hand here, folks. Oh, yes, we shall, okay? Lately, I've been paying attention, to a lot of the opinions of these gamers in this quote-unquote gaming community. And what I'm starting to take notice of a lot is how much focus is now on the resolutions for these next-gen titles. Now, granted, it's PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We should expect to see better looking games this gen than last gen. That's just the way it works, okay? So we should expect that. But what I'm starting to take notice of is this seems like 1080p, 30 frames per second is no longer acceptable. And it's like, that's still pretty good for, for a game to look like on consoles, I started to take notice of this with, Tomb Raider the Rip-Off Edition, not the definitive edition, Tomb Raider the Rip-Off Edition. I started to take notice of this issue with that, because with the whole thing that I think is 60 frames per second on PlayStation 4 and on Xbox One is only 30 frames per second, and every time something like that happens, it becomes a story. So I took notice of it with that, but I also took notice of this with the PlayStation 4 exclusive The Order 1886, and the main issue with that, it wasn't even so much the resolution for that game. The main issue was, oh my gosh, what a crime. What a crime that a game that we haven't seen a shredder gameplay for won't have a multiplayer. People was just running amok like, what do you mean it won't have a multiplayer? Sucker, we never seen gameplay. How can you even want multiplayer? But along with that was the resolution for that game, which was 1080p, 30 frames per second, and people took issue with that. And it's like, okay, I understand it's next gen. We want to see better looking games, but 1080p, 30 frames per second is not bad. Infamous Second Son will be running at 1080p, 30 frames per second. That game looks amazing, and I think people are putting so much, focus on the graphics now because it's next gen. If a developer was to come out and say, hey, this is what we're working on right now, okay? They showed off the game to us. Hands down, it looked like this game had a great story, great gameplay, great online, freaking great soundtrack, great sound, great controls, freaking great everything. This game looked like a game that came from the PlayStation 2 era, but with PlayStation 4 graphics, because we all know how games in the PlayStation 2 era, a lot of them were amazing, but some were bad. But games back then were freaking amazing, okay? So the game looked amazing, okay? I don't think that developer should be flamed by gamers out there, and them completely dismiss everything that game has by saying, but it's not 60 frames. I don't think that's right, okay? Again, it's not. If that's the case, if some gamers out there, are just like, listen, I want 1080p 60 frames per second for all my games out there. If that's the case, if graphics are the end all be all for you for what a next gen game is and what you care most about, if you care most about great looking games, you might as well go to PC gaming, okay? Because you'll never have games on consoles look as good as they do on PC. I mean, unless they completely just build a new console that's pretty much just like a PC, and then that console will cost a lot more money, okay? So it's just like the graphics are not the end all be all. I get that gamers want 60 frames per second in all their games, but again, that's not what makes a game next gen, okay? A game can still be next gen if it's freaking 720p, okay? Freaking The Last of Us. I could go back to playing that game on PS3 and still be amazed by how freaking great that game is. The graphics, they are important, by, seeing, how far games have come from, the freaking Atari up until now. We like to see great looking games. I completely understand that, but if you're completely dismissing everything else that game is offering to you by saying, but it's not 60 frames, that's wrong, okay? So pretty much my question is 1080p 30 frames per second, is it no longer acceptable no more? Do you just want to see straight up 1080p, 60 frames per second for all your games out there on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, even that Wii? I don't even know if the Wii U is capable of that. But, pretty much is 30 frames per second no longer acceptable, okay? Leave your thoughts or comments. I'm really interested in this. What do you think, makes a game next gen? Is it the end all be all with the graphics, or do you agree with what I said? Is it the overall experience that game is offering to you, okay? Because I just don't like how gamers are putting so much focus on the resolutions. It needs to be like PC. So you guys leave your thoughts or comments and happy Last of Us Day. Single player DLC, that is.